Hey guys, and welcome to part 5 of the entire COD Zombies timeline. In part 5 today, we will be entering the forefront of Cold War zombies as we enter the origins of Requiem and the reactivation of the cyclotron. So, without any further ado, let's begin. A new discovery. August 28th, 1983, Omega secured the abandoned N-Station Marasco facility with a cover story about unexploded ordnance to keep locals away. Valentina and Peck examined the abandoned tech throughout the facility, intending to restore them to operational function. October 30th, 1983, Valentina writes an official report on Operation Undertaker, confirming Omega is ready to proceed with the reactivation of the N-Station cyclotron. Cyclotron reactivated. November 1st, 1983, Officers Mendevez and Lieutenant Orlov are ordered by Valentina to reactivate the cyclotron. They succeed, but Mendevez is killed and Orlov is transformed into a megaton. Several breaches appear across the globe, and the Marasco facility becomes overrun and Omega is forced to evacuate. November 20th, 1983, David Halprin writes a report detailing the multiple space-time breaches that have occurred on the day prior. In the report, he declares that Signet strongly urges the creation of a dedicated task force to suppress and contain hostile forces and potential spread of all outbreak zones, regardless of their location. November 3rd, 1983, an emergency meeting is held by American officials to discuss a response to Omega's activities. DS&T Deputy Director Edward Richtofen proposes the creation of an internationally staffed subgroup with the DS&T under the control of the CIA to Director William J. Casey. However, he has ulterior motives with the creation of this group as he answers to a mysterious board of directors and seeks to enact Project Janus. To help accomplish this, he begins a scheme to capture the Forsaken. Peck records a report regarding Operation Undertaker's success where he discusses Phase 2 for Omega. Requiem founded. November 5th, 1983, the Office of Requiem is founded by Casey, with Richtofen appointed as Director of Requiem. November 6th, 1983, Gregory Weaver is placed in charge of containment and security, Dr. Elizabeth Gray as Unnatural Science Lead, Major Mackenzie Carver as Containment and Security, and former N-Station scientist Dr. Oscar Strauss as Energy Research Lead, forming Requiem's senior staff. Richtofen, though, never reveals his identities to the group, especially Weaver. November 7, 1983, Peck proposes that a facility should be set up in Vietnam due to the region's dimensional fertility, specifically in the former site of American Firebase Ripcord. November 8, 1983, Chebrikov makes an agreement with Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Van Dong to construct an Omega facility outside of Khe Sanh. November 9th, 1983, Operation Inversion is approved by Omega. Valentina is placed in charge, and Peck records a personal log going over his desire to open a stable gateway to the Dark Ether at Vietnam. November 11th, 1983, Omega secures a site near Khe Sanh using a cover story regarding the discovery of US chemical weapons being accidentally released, and construction on Outpost 27 begins. November 13th, 1983, D-Machine.
What have you done?
Did you get the package?
We've lost 2 teams since you went dark. Old war footage is the last thing on my mind right now.
Watch it. Watch the tape. Then tell me I'm wrong.
How did you get hold of this?
A friend in the KGB. A late friend.
Germans have Russian friends?
Yeah, some of us do.
Jawohl. Hey! Ich habe nichts Verbotenes getan.
What the hell is that?
That Is why you needed to see the tape. The machina. Stay with me, Weaver. The next part was shot 1 week later.
It's a cleanup crew. Poor bastard. They tried to bury it.
And it stayed buried. Until 2 weeks ago. Now, it's happening again. Have you heard of the Omega Group?
You have to turn yourself in. The CIA can protect you. I can protect you.
I can't do that, Weaver. The Omega Group have plans for the outbreak zones. I have to stay in the field.
Sam, please!
I'm sorry. This is the only way.
Thanks to info gained from Samantha, Requiem undertakes Operation Cerberus, deploying a strike team in Morasco to deactivate the cyclotron and close the rift. They travel into the Dark Ether and encounter the Mayok, as well as restoring Orlov's mind with Do Eschler. Orlov assists Requiem in shutting the cyclone down before sacrificing himself to ensure its destruction. Raptor 1 exfiltrates the strike team as the facility is destroyed, and during their mission they're contacted by a mysterious stranger seemingly trapped in the Dark Ether who details his time in the other world. Meanwhile, Samantha prepares to head to Romania to meet with Ravenov, who she believes can be turned to help them. November 17th, 1983, Peck writes a report regarding Operation Inversion. November 22nd, 1983, Garrison. An outbreak zone appears at NATO FOB in Hanover, West Germany. December 2nd, 1983, Kravchenko appoints Dr. Hugo Yeager as research lead of the newly formed Omega Necroanalysis Department. December 8th, 1983, Peck designs the Omega portal chamber capable of recreating a controlled gateway to the Dark Ether. January 8th, 1984, at 1:13 AM, Peck and Dr. Dmitry Koluke undertake their 30-second test of the Omega portal chamber. They succeed in creating a stable rift to the Dark Ether. January 11th, 1984, Cartel. An outbreak zone appears at the Menendez cartel warehouse in Nicaragua after the undead kill most of the men there and Omega task force arrive to help clear out the infestation. Raul Menendez is among the survivors. January 12th, 1984, Jorg, a Menendez cartel soldier, writes to his mother about the outbreak. He talks about having to kill his brother Manuel, who himself had turned into a zombie. He speculates that Omega will kill any witnesses after the outbreak zone is cleared, including himself. January 18th, 1984, Apocalypse. Zhang Wei, leader of the Shan's People Army, is captured by rival Shan state irregulars and held for ransom. A Dark Ether breach occurs, allowing Zhang to break free in the chaos and send a distress signal to the KGB. An Omega task force, led by Ravenov, is deployed to the area in Laos who clean up the outbreak. Under Kravchenko's orders, Valentina has the men present perform an experiment on Zhang, injecting infected brain fluid onto Zhang's cranium, which turns him into a zombie. After Zhang is killed permanently, Kravchenko tells Ravenov to falsify his report to the KGB. January 19th, 1984, Miami. An outbreak zone appears in the South Beach neighborhood of Miami. January 20th, 1984, Ravenov writes a report regarding the incident at Laos, but is also secretly writing in his journal expressing his doubts working alongside Omega. The discovery of Ethereum. February 2nd, 1984, Peck writes a report to Moscow regarding Exo-Element 1, now known as Ethereum, as a power source. He ponders that Ethereum's power could be so potent that the Soviet Union would no longer need to rely on foreign oil. He also states that Spetsnaz operators are being used to mine Ethereum. February 10th, 1984, Peck designs the Ether reactor, with 3 of them being created to power Outpost 25. Exploring the Dark Ether. February 15th, 1984, Kravchenko approves the use of conscripted criminals, political denizens, foreign prisoners, and intellectuals from the USSR and Vietnam to further mining of Ethereum in the Dark Ether. They are dubbed Ethernauts and replace Spetsnaz in the field of Ethereum mining. March 8th, 1984, Carver approves designs for the Dimensional Disruptor satellite capable of opening a breach into the Dark Ether to summon a high-value target from the other dimension. March 13th, 1984, Gray approves designs for the Dark Ether Specimen Analyzer used to broadcast specimen analysis data back to Requiem HQ via satellite. March 14th, 1984, Omega establishes 5 new Operation Inversion test sites in an effort to open and contain new dimensional breaches. 4 are successful. Peck and Kaluke designed the Red Soldier mechanized armor to help protect the Ethernauts during their journeys into the Dark Ether. Kaluke would later become discredited by Peck and removed from the project. March 16th, 1984, Kaluke writes a report on the physical effects of Ethereum mining. In it, he reveals that Ethereum crystal collection is up 237%, but also that prolonged exposure to the Dark Ether incurs a physical and mental toll, mainly memory loss. Peck works on a memory restoration device to restore memories lost due to Ethereum contamination. March 19th, 1984, Peck reports their first successful teleportation test. April 13th, 1984, Gray approves designs for the Recon rover. It is designed to explore the Dark Ether. April 17th, 1984, Strauss approves designs for an extraction rocket to be used to transport Ethereum payloads out of the Ural Mountains. It is adapted from the MGM-134 Midgetman ICBM prototype. May 9th, 1984, a mimic is captured by miner Tobias Schenk and brought to Peck and Kaluke to perform an autopsy. May 11th, 1984, Kaluke writes a report on the autopsy. Detailing the mimic's transformative capabilities, he notes that there is a face present on the mimic resembling that of MIA Omega soldier Private Glazkov. Sometime in June 1984, after meeting with Ravenov, Samantha learns the full extent of Omega's plans. She and Ravenov plan to infiltrate Outpost 25 and expose Omega's secrets to Requiem, but this plan is discovered by Omega. Gorev visits Peck and informs him that Samantha will be arriving to Vietnam soon. June 2nd, 1984, terrorists detonate a nuclear device atop Mount Yamantau, burying a KGB research facility beneath an irradiated avalanche. June 3rd, 1984, a special decon company of chemical warfare troops arrive under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Agapov. They spend 2 weeks maintaining the exclusion zone around the site. June 13th, 1984, after attempting to infiltrate Outpost 25, Samantha is captured by Peck and interrogated. Peck is contacted by Richtofen, who tells him to throw the rogue B&D agent into the Dark Ether. She remains trapped there for what seems like months due to her time in the dilation within the Dark Ether. June 15th, 1984, a massive Ethereum burst erupts from the dimensional breach at Outpost 25, creating a lethal phasic barrier around the facility. Most of the personnel are either killed or transformed. Peck locks himself inside a room at the outpost and contacts Omega HQ for help, whilst Ravenov locks himself away in the village and contacts Weaver. Firebase C. Requiem undertake Operation Lost Property and deploy the strike team at Vietnam. Through the village, they enter Outpost 25 and are forced to help Peck in restoring power to the facility in exchange for Samantha. Unknowingly helping Peck transfer Omega's research to Vietnam back at their HQ, after using a truth serum against him, he tells them that Samantha is trapped in the dark ether. They manage to use a Requiem dimensional destructor satellite to open a new breach and allow Samantha to escape.
Sam, what happened to you?
I recognize that voice. Wait. You are Requiem. Run!
Are you fucking kidding me?
Attempting an escape through the village, an order appears, and the team must defeat him to carry on.
Not coming with us?
There is an operation underway in the Ural Mountains. I have to stay in the field.
This is the only way.
I told you once, Omega is not who we are. I do this for the good of the motherland. For the good of us all.
Try not to break anything else.
Remember, there's nothing so broken that it cannot be fixed.
Sam, are you okay?
I'm ready to come in, Leader. We have a lot to talk about.
Finally! Could you have taken any longer to get here?
You were smart to transmit your research. You demonstrated loyalty, to an extent.
To an extent? What more do you want? Just wait until we get back to Moscow. We'll see what the Colonel thinks about this.
Really? Do you really want to know what I think? I think I want to see a demonstration of your commitment to Omega. Tell me, Doctor, which is your better eye?
June 17th, 1984, Weaver writes a memo for the rest of Requiem's senior staff regarding Samantha Maxis. He states that Samantha suffers from gaps in her memory as well as post-traumatic stress issues. She has since been quarantined until further notice. He would later get Maxis a dog, who she would name Not So Fluffy. June 18th, 1984, Gorev writes a progress report on the Ural Mountains dimensional breach. He states that the Ural Mountains hold the richest source of Ethereum in the world, to the point where travel to the dark ether is unnecessary for Ethereum collection. He also mentions that the increase in hostile activity from the dark ether allows for an excellent opportunity for weapons testing. Agapov sends a distress signal to the Soviet Ministry of Defense detailing a dark ether outbreak zone appearing in Yamantau. June 19th, 1984, Yamantau. An Omega cleanup crew led by Gorev arrives at the Yamatar base. With the assistance from Agapov and his hazmat team, they clean up the infestation. June 20th, 1984, Outbreak. William Casey approves the undertaking of Operation Threshold, which occurs on the same day. Requiem operators are deployed across the Ural Mountain outbreak zone to further study the Dark Ether and gain the upper hand on Omega. Meanwhile, Zykov continues to contact Requiem. Gorev writes a report on the outbreak in Yamantau. He requests that Agapov and his men be transferred to work under Omega at the Ural Mountains, rather than follow Kravchenko's initial orders to dispose of any witnesses. June 25th, 1984, Weaver contacts Requiem operators, informing them that they are to follow each department lead's orders to the letter. July 8th, 1984, Kravchenko assigns Peck to the Ural Mountains to assess the application of Ethereum present in that area under Gorev's supervision. July 11th, 1984, Peck records a personal log to himself, deducing that the Ruka site and Tempest around it would be perfect to use for Operation Inversion. Nikolai Belinsky, a Soviet tank commander, is conducting a mission in the mountains of Afghanistan when he is suddenly transported to the Dark Ether. July 22nd, 1984, Kravchenko assumes direct command of Operation Inversion after having been contacted by an informant within Requiem's senior staff, alongside learning the existence of the Forsaken. The informant is none other than Richthofen, who is using both sides of the Cold War to his advantage. August 16th, 1984, Valentina receives another vision of her father. He tells her to have faith and that the two will soon be reunited. September 3rd, 1984, at 2:35 AM, Peck records a personal log. He makes mention of the stressful working conditions as well as a demonic echo that has been tormenting all his staff. He also mentions having found a computer from the Dark Ether, unknowingly having been speaking to Zykov through it. September 12th, 1984, as requested by her, Weaver writes a memo to Gray summarising the different types of Dark Ether crates encountered by Requiem within the Ural Mountains. He states that strike teams have encountered a Dragon rocket module that once fed enough essence seems to reward the operators with a crate. September 29th, 1984, Requiem's Energy Research Division writes a report on the phenomena of Dark Ether objects, or DAOs. It is noted that the Dark Ether is able to replicate objects found outside of itself, but only things that have already interacted with. It is implied within the report that the Dark Ether has a genetic memory that expands as it continues to interact with Earth. Sometime in October 1984, Kazimir Zykov fully reveals his identity to Requiem, revealing he is also responsible for aiding them through the use of a Pack-a-Punch machine and Perca-Colas. October 4th, 1984, Strauss writes a report to Richthofen requesting Requiem funding being allocated to verify the fates of certain Axis personnel, such as scientists working on Germany's Wunderwaffe project, as well as the Anahabi and their search for the likes of Atlantis and the Holy Grail. It is denied. October 10th, 1984, Requiem senior staff collaborate on a summary and assessment on Kazimir Zykov. All of them seem suspicious towards him, although Carver believes that assisting him may be their best option. November 16th, 1984, Ravenov implications. After gaining a hold of Gray's comms protocol, Maxis contacts the Requiem strike team behind Weaver's back. She exhorts them to meet with Ravenov at Ruka's missile silo and help him stop Operation Inversion. They arrive at the site to meet with him and find him.
All personnel return to station.
Where is Maxis?
I'm here, still being held by Requiem. They don't want me in the field.
They do not trust you. But we do know what is at stake, yes? Somehow, Peck found a way to supercharge the crystal's power for his warheads. By using those crystalline creatures.
If the warheads at this facility were to detonate, they would trigger an inversion in this reality, creating outbreak zones wherever Omega chooses.
It is no use. I cannot launch the missiles from here. I need you to find the keys. That is the only way we can put an end to Operatia Inversia. Maxis, is there anywhere in particular you want to see destroyed?
This power is too dangerous for either Omega or Requiem to possess. So I say, we dump them in the middle of the Pacific.
Sounds like a plan. Go. Find the launch keys. I will prep the missiles.
After collecting all the required materials to launch the warheads, the Requiem strike team head outside but discover the warheads are obstructed by large Ethereum crystals and a massive tempest known as Legion. The strike team defeat Legion, allowing the warheads to safely launch into the Pacific Ocean. The strike team are then extracted by Raptor 1, and after the incident, Requiem's senior staff hold a meeting to discuss the recent events. Immediately after the meeting concludes, Weaver pulls Grey aside and scolds her for going behind his back. He informs her he'll take the blame for the events and nobody will know of Grey's involvement so long as she never crosses him again. He would also confront Maxis and confine her to her quarters, refusing to let her take Notso for a walk, and Ravenov is disavowed by the KGB and designated as an enemy of the Soviet Union. November 21st, 1984, Valentina is once again visited by her father, who tells her that her plan is still in motion. November 24th, 1984, Ravenov contacts Weaver reporting that 8 Omega scientists are planning to defect. They are known collectively as the Omega 8. November 27th, 1984, Weaver writes a report regarding the Omega 8 to Richthofen. November 30th, 1984, Kravchenko reports that the inversion warheads cannot be recovered. He also reports that Jaeger has infiltrated the Omega 8 defectors with the goal of eliminating the traitors and setting up a trap for Requiem's elite strike team. Additionally, he expresses his growing suspicion towards Valentina after a conversation with Gorev reveals that Valentina has been hiding info regarding Peck speaking to the computer. He plans to speak to her directly. December 1st, 1984, under orders from Richthofen, Weaver had Maxis taken away for additional testing at the Block 8, a CIA facility built with an Ethereum seal. December 3rd, 1984, Maxis arrives at Block 8 after 2 days of travel. Upon arrival, she attempts to flee before being detained. She is then given a fresh shower, clothes, and placed in isolation. December 4th, 1984, Maxis goes through her second day at Block 8. She refuses both morning and evening meals, yelling profanities at the guards throughout the day. December 5th, 1984, Maxis is interrogated and tortured by Richthofen. During the interrogation, he asks Maxis her birth date, a fact he himself remembered from his childhood with her. December 6th, 1984, Maxis attempts to escape her cell by using an improvised lockpick fashioned from a plastic fork. She is afterwards barred from using any sort of utensils. December 7th, 1984, Maxis undergoes her second test with Richthofen, where he asks her to move an object with her mind. Maxis refuses and the session is terminated early. Richthofen decides to pursue unconditional methods to coerce Maxis. December 8th, 1984, a report is written regarding Maxis' time in Block 8. In it, the events of December 5th are falsified, stating that Richthofen held an orientation between himself and Maxis that proved to be beneficial for both of them. Strike Team kidnapped. December 14th, 1984, entrapment. Weaver orders the strike team to meet with Ravenov and the Omega 8 in his state sanatorium U-23. They soon discover that the 8's helicopter had crashed and is now missing. With a message left behind by Jaeger stating they were heading to a nearby monument, the strike team learns of the Ethereum neutralizer developed by Zarkov that would allow them to pass through the monument. After crafting and using an Ethereum neutralizer placed on a recon rover to journey safely through the Ethereum phase, they arrive at the monument only to discover 7 dead bodies along with another message by Jaeger taunting Requiem. He reveals his true intent. An undead horde led by Order soon approaches, with Weaver ordering the strike team to leave the area, and Raptor 1 arrive to exfil them.
Okay, strike team. Time to come home.
We're going down!
Sadly, Weaver, them coming home is not part of the plan. Surrender now,
Kravchenko,
and you will be allowed to live.
you son of a fucking bitch.
Requiem belongs to me now.
An unconscious Raptor 1 is dragged away by Omega soldiers, and the rest of Strike Team are soon captured and transferred to Potsdam. And there we have it. That is the end of Part 5. Our Strike Team have been captured by Omega and their fates left unknown to us. But stay tuned for Part 6, where we'll find out what happens with them, as well as what Richtofen is up to, and Valentina's evil secret plan. So, hopefully I'll see you all then. Goodbye.